Inventions and the technologies they produced have, over the millennia, shaped our civilizations and transformed life on this planet. Invention is a world always on the move, ever reaching out, never static. Each new generation brings its own innovative thinkers whose creativity may be embedded in their DNA or evolved through their upbringing or education. Inquiring minds are a requisite for most inventors. They are often keen observers of life and quick to realize opportunities to create new technologies to improve lives. Successful inventors need to do more than just come up with a new idea. They often have to overcome the ridicule of those who lack the vision on the impact an invention can have on the lives of the populace. In today's world, the process of inventing, getting a patent, finding investors, and producing the product is still a difficult process for the individual inventor. Consider though what it took for creative minds in the early 1900s to even get a patent. Less than 10% of the USA had electricity or phones. There were no computers or an internet to search for information. These early inventors had to rely on newspapers for information, struggle in their primitive workshops, often at night by the light of an oil lamp, using hand tools to construct what was in the day a complex work of engineering. Then, to obtain a patent, they would probably have had to hire a skilled patent draftsman to produce a detailed drawing. Drawings of the era were so detailed that they would likely be considered as works of art in today's world. Once a patent was granted, then the process of finding a manufacturer to produce the product may have required transporting their invention by horse and carriage, across rough roads to demonstrate it to potential manufacturers. The many inventors who were not lucky enough to have been born into wealthy families would have had an uphill task of finding investors to back their ideas, requiring much more travel and presentations. It's interesting to follow the story of one inventor of the era. The village of Cosby in the county of Andrew, Missouri lies about 60 miles north of Kansas City. The village has been home to less than 200 people for the past century. It is located in area of broad valleys and rolling prairies coursed by the rivers Platte, 1 and 200 and Nottoway, plus many tributary creeks draining into the Missouri River. To the west are the bluffs of the Missouri River Valley. This area from 1830s until end of the century attracted many pioneering families. One family of interest is John and Nancy Ruby, who settled in the village of Cosby. We don't know how John accumulated his wealth, but by 1900 he was a man of independent means according to the census taken that year. It was in this year that his 19-year-old son James E. Ruby invented an interesting spring motor for bicycles, which were still comparatively primitive devices, with some having no brakes at all. As John Ruby was recorded as a witness to the patent issued for the invention, it is likely that the young James' innovation spirit was encouraged and financed by his father. From 1850 to 1900 there was extensive development in the railroad business. However, automobiles were scarce, and so the bicycle was still a popular mode of transport. The pioneering spirit of the Ruby family, and their reading in local newspapers about frequent new inventions in the railroad industry, are likely to have been the motivating influence behind young James's idea for an attachment to a bicycle, to both be used as a brake when going downhill, and a source of power to assist the rider when going uphill. Maybe he had a bicycle with no brakes, and had a difficult time controlling it going downhill, and may have had to walk up hills when the going got tough, and it was this that gave him the idea for a spring-powered bicycle. There is no record of a working model of the bicycle spring motor being lodged at the U.S. Patent Office when the patent was awarded. However, it's likely that the young James would have used his father's workshop, and maybe that of a machine shop in distant Kansas, to construct the spring mechanism and gear wheel for the device, because the detailed drawing in the patent would probably have required the draftsman who made the drawing for the patent, to have seen a mock-up. We will probably never know if James ever had a fully working model and showed it to a bicycle manufacturer of the day. We have not been able to find any evidence that the spring motor cycle went into production. However, this invention from a very small village in Missouri at the turn of the 20th century is a testament to the innovation of the pioneers who spread out across the country and were a part of what makes America great in this 21st century. James E. Ruby's name never made it into any Hall of Fame, but his invention is recorded in a new book, Inventive Minds of 20th Century America, published on Amazon about inventors of this era. James presumably did not make a fortune from his patent, as he went on to become a farmer and later a carpenter. He died on August 15, 1951. There are hundreds of thousands of inventors like James whose patents line the shelves of the U.S. Patent Office archives. Many of them will not be remembered, but many of the patents they were awarded have in some small way contributed to the innovations which contributed to the extraordinary growth of America in the 20th century. The book publisher, Decades Publishing, has however, created a new branded service called Heritage Patents Art, which arranges for artists to paint original works of art, incorporating these early inventions into period scenes, to shine a spotlight on these largely forgotten inventors. The images shown in this video are copies of original works of art based on a patent issued to James E. Ruby in 1900.